This week on Lunchbox Envy. In the UK alone, we eat 127 of them every second.
Astronaut John Young once smuggled one into space.
And in 2013, Subway was sued because their footlong was sometimes only 11 inches.
It's sandwiches.
Hurrah!
Hello and welcome to Lunchbox Envy. I'm Rosie and I'm here with my friends and QI elves, Jack and Manu.
Hey, Rosie.
Hello.
We've upgraded to friends now.
Maybe we could go as far as saying we are now friends.
Friends.
I think it's probably important to define what is a sandwich. And as British people, we are the most well-placed to do that. So,
Wow, okay, Rosie, what do you think?
well, it's a very philosophical question, actually,
Okay,
really. I was
yeah.
asking myself this when I was preparing for this episode, because traditionally, a sort of basic interpretation of a sandwich is that it is things between two slices of bread.
Interesting.
But what do you do then with your sandwiches that are in, hollowed out baguettes or baps? Is that still a sandwich? What do you guys think?
I'm a bit more loose on the definition of a sandwich personally. I think a burger is a sandwich, for instance.
Wow.
Right.
And I also think a Victoria sponge is a sandwich.
Well, it is sandwiched,
Yeah.
but it's not a sandwich.
Use the verb to sandwich.
I found a quote from a book that was called Salads, Sandwiches and Chafing Dish Dainties
Wow.
from 1899, written by Janet M. Hill.
Chafing.
Chafing dish. Have you not heard of what a chafing dish is?
No, it
So
sounds-
a chafing dish is basically what we would use in catering now, which is like a sort of large metal dish where it's like heated from underneath. A dish of lots of little things that is on a buffet, basically, for sharing, but it's not a
Goodness.
plate. So you'd fill your chafing dish with eggs so that people could take an egg.
Yeah,
And then
for
they move to the
buffets,
next chafing
yeah.
dish and there's some bacon and they move to the next one and then there's some, that kind of thing.
Does that link to the other way we use chafing?
Kind of, yes, because chafe in its original sense meant to sort of warm or warm up. And if you've ever
Okay.
chafed, you will know that that
Yeah.
area does become
Because
warm.
of the friction, right?
Yeah. Oh, God.
And actually, it comes from the French word chauffer, which is to heat. And interestingly, a chauffeur, otherwise known as a chauffeur,
Sexy hot driver.
well, originally, back in, that meant the person who stoked the coals in a steam engine.
Okay.
So that then sort of like declined into meaning any kind of driver or person who stoked an engine.
Yeah.
And now we have today chauffeur, meaning person who drives a very smart car for someone else.
I can't believe I never
cool.
thought of that.
I had no idea.
Anyway, back to this quote. So in Janet's opinion, the fillings of savoury sandwiches may be placed between pieces of bread, crackers, pastry, choux paste, or aspic jelly.
Ew.
Wow.
Janet.
Crackers.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, yes, technically a Victoria sponge is a sandwich, but like if you took any of those things to a person on the streets today and you said, what would you call us? They wouldn't say, that's a sandwich.
That's
They'd be
a
like,
good point.
ugh.
I feel so much like I do when I'm listening to my religious family talk.
This is a
Like,
very important,
That's
almost
the thing.
religious matter.
As in my life with faith and religion and philosophy, I am staunchly agnostic, and it's the exact same thing for sandwiches.
Okay.
In my research, I realize I've literally no idea what a sandwich is anymore.
Right.
So many people come from it at different angles, like lots of different legal battles. It's one of those things where I don't think there is an answer. And we should all be happy with our different sandwich beliefs.
You're probably right. However you sandwich is up to you, as it were.
You're doing that through gritted teeth, you sandwich fascist. So you say it doesn't matter, and that's fine day to day. But it does come to a head when you have to consider things like taxation. So in 2018, the state of New York had to decide whether a hot dog was a sandwich or not.
Oof.
Firstly, what's your opinion? Do you
No.
think it's
No, that's my gut.
But I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just
I don't have any other way to define it it's a hot dog,
I
but it's not a sandwich.
Agreed.
But then people come in and they're like, Subway is a sandwich. And I'm like, yeah, obviously Subway is a sandwich. But there's not that much difference.
No. Well, anyway, the state of New York eventually decided that for tax reasons, a hot dog does count as a sandwich. But there was a lot of debate online, and people were saying, well, does my Pop-Tart count as a ravioli now? And, it caused a lot of outrage and debate. And then someone weighed in, and I thought this was the best way to define all foods. It's kind of a universal grand theory of food structure. And it's called the cube rule.
Oh.
And it was first delivered by Phosphatide on Twitter.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Greek philosopher.
No.
Because it's always some bloody Roman or Greek philosopher that I have no idea who they are. And you're like, classic Cicero. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
Phosphatide of Tyre, 350 BC. No, some random Twitter user. I'm sure they're still out there. So imagine a cube. And then your structural starch can fill any of the 6 faces, and depending on which ones they fill depends on what you call the thing. So if it's got structural starch on one face, and we imagine the base, that is toast. So you can put anything on your bread or your pasta or your rice, like if you imagine a nigiri sushi,
Yeah,
which is just rice
a crispy rice
with some salmon on top. That is toast. Okay.
Right.
It matches the structure of toast, and therefore it is, under the cube rule, a type of toast. And so is pizza. So is cheesecake, in fact.
Wow.
They've all got their structural starch on the bottom, and then you can put anything you like on top. If you have starch on the base and the top face, there's your sandwich. Examples include Victoria sponge, quesadillas that haven't been folded. So you put like a tortilla on the bottom, cheese in the middle, and then tortilla on top. That's a sandwich. Okay. You've got starch on 3 consecutive sides, like a scoop. That makes a taco. Examples include hot dogs, because they're joined.
So hot dogs, according to cube rule, are
It's
actually tacos.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't hate that.
It's good, eh?
Yeah.
And then sushi is when you have 4 consecutive bases. So you've got 2 open sides. So it's basically a roll. And examples include a falafel wrap.
Is sushi.
Is sushi. Yeah. And then you've got quiche, where you've just got one open face. So it's the starch on 5 of the sides of the cube. Like a quiche, but also like a bunny chow, when you hollow out a loaf of bread and fill it with curry. And a burrito as well.
Yeah. Could you also say a pitta?
Pitta, yeah, exactly.
A pitta is a quiche.
A pitta pocket.
A pitta is a quiche, is a taco,
And then when you've got starch on all 6 sides, that's a calzone.
Ah.
Oh, God.
and then when you've got no starch, that's a salad. So steak is a salad. Mashed potatoes a salad.
Roast potatoes, also a salad.
No, roast potatoes are nachos. When you've got small bits of starch, they're all mixed in. They are nachos. So like a pasta with the sauce all mixed in, they're nachos.
Jesus, yeah.
Was that helpful, Rosie?
No,
Do you feel...
well, yeah. I mean,
Useful.
look, I appreciate the creativity of that.
Yeah.
I might, trick my husband next time I'm making dinner. I'm like, we're having sushi, babe, and then present him with a falafel wrap and see what he says.
Nice.
Amazing.
All right. Well, that was nice and clear. Feels like we haven't really got a definition at all, but we've talked about it at length. So, our very first lunchbox today is from my sweet Manu. What have you got for us today, Manu?
Oh, so this is the infamous Mrs. Beaton's toast sandwich.
No way.
Beaton, friend of the pod, Mrs. Beaton.
So this, so it's literally like a piece of really nice sourdough between 2 slices of like bog standard white sandwich bread. And
Interesting.
copious amounts of butter and a little bit of salt.
So is it important to have a middle piece that is a different type of bread? Is that sort of...
I think for tastiness, yes.
Okay.
But in the original recipe, Mrs. Beaton doesn't specify which
Right.
type of bread. It's literally just like make sure you use a thin, cold toast and then thin slices of bread. So yeah, do we want to give it a go?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
You had me at toast.
Oh. Okay.
This
Keep-
does
keep-
feel like the most tragic of student meals, a toast sandwich.
Yeah, but
But it looks good, actually.
I don't know. I think like we love bread, we
Yeah.
love butter, we love toast, and we love sandwiches. What's
go
not to
for it.
like?
Love
It all
it.
sounds good to me.
Oh. Yeah.
Bread.
And I think the textural difference is if you're a textural eater,
Yeah,
you're
because I
getting a
think
lot from it.
having a middle toasted piece with two soft pieces either side is genius. Because you do get that crunch in the middle. Like, I'm going to put this in my back pocket for next time I have a stomach upset, because the brat diet, banana, rice, applesauce, and toast. This means I can have a lovely sandwich on the brat diet, toast sandwich.
Nice.
Can you just explain the brat diet?
The brat diet is a diet that doctors and nurses and generally medical people would advise you to adapt if you have diarrhea or you're recovering from sickness and diarrhea. And it's basically to sort of reline your stomach with nice, soft, very sensitive foods. Toast is one of those things.
Very
Surely
nice.
you'd have to skip the butter though.
I was going to say, this is not good for you, I think.
I think a bit of butter's probably all right.
It's interesting though, because Mrs. Beaton did write this recipe for invalids and people who are in convalescence.
Interesting.
So sick people who couldn't handle really intense foods. She was like, you know what, they're going to love toast and bread and toast.
Yeah.
And more bread.
So, when did Mrs. Beaton first write about the toast sandwich?
So she was writing about this sandwich in her book of household management, which was published in 1861. And this is, the start of our big love affair in Britain with the sandwich.
Yes, it's about 100 years after the famous legend, we're not sure if it's true or not, about the Earl of Sandwich. So there's a small port town in Kent, which is called Sandwich and has been for hundreds of years. And the etymology of that is it's basically means sand market, or it's like a market in a place where there is sand, which makes sense because it's on the coast. And there's a guy, John Montague, who was the fourth Earl of Sandwich. And he held lots of offices in the British government, but was, by all accounts, pretty useless at doing all of them. Anyway, the story goes that he was at his gambling table late one night and he didn't want to get up. And so he asked his servants to make him something that he could eat with one hand, and didn't need to use a knife or fork. And the servant presumably came up with what is now known as the sandwich. There's some doubt as to whether this was the case. He wasn't much of a gambler. He was much more likely to have ordered this while working late at his desk because, as we mentioned, he was quite incompetent. So he was always struggling with the affairs of state.
I think one of the things I love about the sandwich story is the idea he discovered sandwiching food when he was on like a gap year, because he toured the Middle East and Mediterranean as a young man between 1738 and 39. And they were like famous for making,
Grand Tour.
like stuffed flatbreads, which is probably where he got the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably highly likely that it wasn't a British idea at all.
Oh,
but
well,
we
absolutely.
But we invent all of the best things.
No, I agree. I think the concept of putting something between two bits of bread has probably existed for centuries, millennia even, maybe. So the 11th Earl of the Sandwich has actually just died. Presumably his son will take over the role. He and his son, in fact, his other son, Orlando, the second son, they lent into the sandwich mythology, and they've actually opened a sandwich chain branch called the Earl of Sandwich.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're mostly in America. In fact, mostly in Disneyland resorts, which is interesting.
Oh, I bet they sell really
Yeah,
well there.
I think so. But he's interestingly, he's got a daughter called Lettuce.
Oh,
Incredible.
I like
I thought
that.
that was great.
Yeah.
So following on from the Earl of Sandwich and his invention, the British sort of adopted it into their national cuisine. And by 1851, there was a Victorian social commentator called Henry Mayhew, and he calculated that there were 436,800 sandwiches sold in London every year, all of them ham.
Oh,
Interestingly,
Every single
I
one.
don't know how accurate that is, but I imagine the ham sandwich was one of the most popular, but literally every single one.
I just love the idea of someone trying to make a cheese sandwich and they're like, what do you think of this guy? And they're like,
No, where's the ham?
Well, how
Gone.
insane.
So it's interesting, by the 50s and 60s, Britain was making most of their sandwiches at home, but the ones you could buy in shops were a bit disappointing. And particularly on trains in British Rail and then on the platforms in the station canteens, you would always get these kind of, I mean, I'm not old enough to remember it, but it became a thing. Like the British Rail sandwich was a byword for disappointment. It's kind of odd to imagine a world before, because back in the 80s, it was so like alien. You would just make sandwiches or something you made at home out of leftovers, right? And it took this guy, Roger Whiteside, to like really be passionate about the convenience of office culture and stepping out of your lunch break. You've got like 10 minutes to go and grab something. You haven't had time to make something at home.
You can pinpoint exactly when the pre-packaged supermarket sando came on the market. So it was M&S in 1980. They started selling, they said the first one was a salmon and tomato sandwich. But according to this article, it was kind of a free-for-all. Like they were just making sandwiches with whatever they had lying around. Like apparently they were making like pilchard ones and people were buying those as well. What M&S did, which was so revolutionary, is find a way to package them and keep them like secure in a really tight box. I think they even introduced like a specific kind of atmosphere.
Nitrogen rich.
Is
right?
it?
There's no oxygen inside an M&S sandwich.
To keep everything
keep it
fresh. That's mad.
And I think they use day old bread so that it's a bit firmer. Because if you have really fresh bread, it just sucks up all the moisture. It's amazing, the technological innovations. I mean, there's just the passion and the tweaks and the marginal gains that they make by using a slightly different tomato or they talk about barriers and carriers.
But it's also one of the things, so I looked into Greencore, who is the world's biggest packaged sandwich producer. They make all of the sandwiches for like M&S and Sainsbury's and all of these big supermarkets. And they also have the biggest, according to them, sandwich factory in the world in Nottinghamshire. And if you watch videos of this place, it's like industrial, like production line. And it runs 24 hours a day.
Wow.
They churn about like 3 million sandwiches a week. One thing you might like, egg mayo is one of their most popular sandwiches.
Damn right.
A lot of egg mayo. And they've got like 50 different types of mayonnaise to make it with. And they have...
I'm so glad that you knew that I would like this.
It's cool. But they have like a thing that looks like a massive tumble dryer to like mix all the egg mayo
Oh my
in.
God, put me in there.
But,
I want to live in the egg mayo tumble dryer.
but yeah, it's mad. It is a machine. The industry is worth about 8 billion today.
Wow.
And yeah, so say like sandwich market research is so intense. So they know exactly when you're going to break your New Year's resolution and start eating BLTs again, which is normally the third week of January. And they also know exactly when the morning of office party hangover is going to be, which changes slightly every year. So in 2017, it was on the 15th of December. So that's when all of their like high fat, high sugar, high salt sandwiches sold really quickly.
And we'll also, one thing that I do think is very particular to the UK is Christmas sandwich culture. Like,
we love a Christmas
the
sandwich.
obsession with the different high street brands launching their Christmas sandwiches. I somehow have got onto some like PR journalism lists, and I'll get like press releases a few months in advance from, you know, Pret or M&S being like, this is this year's Christmas sandwich. And I've got to be honest, guys, they're always the fucking same. They're never that different. I personally don't agree with them. Morally, I'm against them.
What?
I don't want to eat fake leftovers. The only Christmas sandwich I want to eat is the one I make on the
Boxing Day.
26th of December.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's. I was looking into more like historical sandwiches, and I feel like we have to talk about Barry Enderwick. Have you heard about Barry Enderwick?
We need to talk about Barry.
So basically, Barry Enderwick is famous for trying out weird historical sandwiches.
Okay.
So you can check him out. His Insta is called Sandwiches of History, but he's got the most insane recipes, which are so good.
Like historical ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So good because they're so bad.
Yes.
Right.
So one of his least favorites was the yeast sandwich.
Oh,
The recipes from
doesn't sound good.
from 1936, which is basically just a block of compressed fresh yeast
Stop.
Yeah, mixed with Worcester sauce.
Okay.
He said
Improving.
it was not good.
Because yeast is really like powdery.
It's dry.
Yeah.
Like, even fresh yeast is like, I can't imagine that being a nice tongue mouthfeel, you know?
They need to work on their branding.
Yeah. So that sounded bad. The farmer's egg sandwich from 1912.
Sounds all right.
Hard-boiled eggs, homemade vinegary mayo. He said the reason it was terrible is because the recipe instructed him to boil the eggs for 30 minutes.
He's getting tips off Mrs. Beaton.
They must have gone black.
Yeah, I know. Some asked they were boiled for like 45 even, and he said it just tasted like sulfur. Really, really bad.
Christ. So fart sandwich.
Yeah.
I found another really weird one, actually, if you want to hear. In 1902, there was a report written by the Royal Academy of Medicine in Ireland, and it talks about a doctor called Dr. Jameson Johnston, and he prescribed a cotton wool sandwich to a guy who'd lost his false teeth while swimming in the sea. A wave came and knocked his dentures down his throat.
Oh.
He had like 3 teeth that were false or something. Anyway, there was metal in there, so he swallowed them. And he was quite distraught, and he was like, what do I do? When it passes, it might like cut my guts open.
Oh, God.
So the doctor prescribed him some cotton wool sandwiches, and they're exactly how you'd imagine. The 2 slices of bread with some butter and then some cotton wool. And by all accounts, it was successful. And the false teeth came out. They were completely wrapped in cotton wool, and they didn't hurt his gut lining.
Whoa, that's clever.
Yeah.
That is
And in
clever.
fact, in the British Medical Journal in 1943, one Richard Fawcett, MD, said, and I quote, "I have recently been struck by the fact that so few doctors realise the value of a cotton wool sandwich."
There was a summer in my childhood when my littlest brother Billy went to A&E 3 times because he got a polo stuck in his gullet.
The same
Why
polo?
No, not, and it wasn't, to be clear, it wasn't that he couldn't breathe, it was in his throat. It was going down the right airway. It's just that he was quite a small kid, and like maybe it was just he'd swallowed it whole and like just kept getting polo stuck in his throat. Anyway, we kept having to go to A&E, and the doctors were like, all you need to do is eat a piece of bread. And basically bread, if you ever get something stuck in your throat and it's uncomfortable and it's, you know, eat a piece of bread, because the bread is strong enough to push it down when you
Okay.
swallow. So that was a
Similar
great, that was
idea.
after that we didn't have to go again.
Okay.
Why did you keep giving him polos?
Let's move on to our second lunchbox. Me today. And I'm very happy to have brought you probably one of my favourite sandwiches.
Okay.
One that I will always order when I see it on a menu.
Really?
Because I just believe it is a perennial classic. And that is the club sandwich.
Whoa.
Nice.
Oh, it looks so good.
So,
It's so colourful.
for those who don't know what a club sandwich is, it is a fairly hefty sandwich. I think it's fair to say that a club sandwich is supposed to be a main meal, right?
Okay.
Like it's a big whopper. And the defining features of a club sandwich are that it contains chicken, lettuce, bacon, typically tomato as well, and that there is a third piece of bread in the middle.
Yes.
So it is in fact a double-decker.
Wait, is that one? That's one piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enormous.
Oh my god. Oh
So
my
it's
god.
3, yeah.
How are
so
you gonna get that in your mouth?
yeah.
That's enormous.
So you basically build a sandwich, then you put the middle slice on, then you build another sandwich on top of it.
Are the 2 filling layers the same? Or
Yeah.
is there... Okay, right.
And I wanted to bring in the club sandwich partly because it is genuinely one of my favorites. It's always on a hotel menu. It's always on a beach bar menu. Like if you're ever traveling, you know that you'll be able to get a club sandwich somewhere. And it's particularly good with chips. I haven't brought chips today. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, damn.
It's also a very striking, beautiful sandwich, right? Like it feels more than just a sandwich when you put that down in front of someone. They're like, whoa.
Is it the filling or is it the structure? Because I think the most distinguishing feature for me is that it's a triple decker, right?
In my research, what I've come to conclude is that it's actually more the filling,
Okay.
less the structure.
Sure.
For me, one of the defining features is that the bread is toasted.
I was gonna say,
You would never make a club with raw bread.
Interesting.
You would always have it with toast.
Raw toast.
Yeah, but interestingly, it's still, like for all intents and purposes, it's still a cold sandwich with hot toast.
Yeah.
Bizarre, really. Please be careful when you eat your sandwich. There's genuinely a giant cocktail stick in the middle of it.
Okay.
So the most popular and, to be honest, the most likely origin story of the club sandwich is that it was first served in a men's club in New York in the late 19th century. But which men's club? That is still up for debate and no one can decide. There is literally no way of knowing. There are those who believe that it was the Union Club in New York City in the 1880s. And then there are those who believe it was actually first seen at the Saratoga Clubhouse in upstate New York, Saratoga, in the 1890s. There is a theory that a member of said club, whichever one it was, went home one night after a night on the gambling and the bevs, and he wanted some toast. But he was like, oh, I've got these things in the fridge and I'll just put them in as well. And he put together a sort of, pseudo club sandwich and was like, that's delicious. And went to the club the next day and requested it be made for him. In recent years, you may have read or seen online, and I do really like this theory. I wish it was true. Is that it was called a club sandwich because it's an acronym for chicken and lettuce under bacon.
Oh,
That feels like a stretch to me.
So I just love the idea of people being like, Hannah, what's the order? Oh, chicken, lettuce, under bacon. Okay,
Is it
club.
a club sandwich if you put it over bacon?
Well, yeah. And also forgetting the tomato.
So I read there was a sort of brand of buses called the club buses in the early 20th century in New York. And they were the first double-decker buses. Oh, no, they were the first double-decker train cars. That was it. And again, this feels a bit too good to be true. So they would serve, because it's basically a double-decker sandwich, you've got 2 layers of filling.
Well, it's interesting because I found a few original recipes of the club sandwich. I say original recipes that appeared as close to the late 1880s, 1890s as possible. One of which from that lovely book that I love, Salads, Sandwiches and Chafing Dish Dainties by Janet M. Hill.
Oh, Janet.
And her recipe was there's no middle layer there. And I couldn't really find a time where that seemed to sort of appear. But I did find some more references to the fact that, like, as time went on, the club sandwich was more than a sandwich. It was supposed to be a ritzier, better sandwich for the club, for the people of the club. Not like the disco, like the club. Like the club as in the gentleman's club. And perhaps that's why they started adding this third layer. It was something they could logistically reasonably charge money for. The celebrated chef and food writer James Beard, of whom the James Beard Awards are named after.
Yeah.
He is very disdainful about the third layer. He says
Interesting.
the sandwich is bastardized because it is usually made as a 3-decker, which is not authentic. Whoever started that horror should be forced to eat 3 deckers 3 times a day for the rest of his life.
Wow. Sorry, before we move on, where does this fall in the cube?
Oh, they've got a separate layer for this when you've got parallel layers of starch. That is a cake.
So this
Interesting. So this is a cake.
This is a cake.
Cool.
I could, I understand that.
I'm glad you asked.
So, talking of ergonomics and sandwich making, what do we think is the best bread for sandwiches?
Oh.
Are you going to go and get some like sourdough? Are you going to get focaccia? Are you going to get normal white, bog standard?
Focaccia is a good one.
Yeah.
It's just give me more fat.
It's very
Rid
middle
my
class though, Manu, if we're honest.
I'm allowed to like middle class things. I don't know. I love olive oil. Give me more.
For me, the bread has to have a bit of a roll. It's not just a vessel.
Bit of a roll.
A bit of a roll. It's not just a vessel. It's actually, soft white bread on a tomato sandwich serves a purpose because a tomato is really sweet. The soft bread is also quite sweet, and the whole eating thing becomes sort of like this very comforting, cozy, pillowy, juicy thing. If you make a tomato sandwich on sourdough, it's just not as good. I'm so sorry, guys. Sourdough is actually, in my opinion, shit sandwich bread.
Sure.
Because it's too wet. The bread itself is too soggy. And if you leave the sourdough for even 15 minutes, it's like hard as nails, goes the other way. Okay, and then my next question is barriers.
Oh, wow.
So other than bread, there are two main barriers that I identified. Butter or mayonnaise. Never both.
I was going to say, surely someone's mixed them and made the ultimate.
Mayonnaise.
Is that? Oh, it's definitely a thing.
Well, mayonnaise is named after the town of Bayonne, and there is a town called Bayonne, so there probably is a sauce bayonnaise.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but isn't Bayonne
banging.
famous for ham?
Yeah?
Sorry, which one is our favorite barrier?
Yeah, what's your favorite? What's your most used barrier?
Butter.
Mayonnaise.
Really? I'm a mayonnaise girl as well, Jack.
Sorry.
No, fine.
I think the butter is, firstly, it reminds me of school sandwiches, and they're not always very good.
Not in a good way, yeah.
Secondly, it's too fatty and it can actually get in the way of the mouthfeel for me.
Okay.
Whereas with mayonnaise, it kind of melts and dissolves and it's just sauce. It's just sauce for the interior. And that for me is perfect.
Okay.
Sauce for the interior sounds like some sort of government cabinet position, doesn't it?
It's time to move on to our third and final lunchbox. And that today is Mr. Jack Chambers. And he has in front of him what can only be described as a crime scene.
This is basically Elvis's favourite sandwich. Elvis Presley, he who died of a heart attack on the toilet. There was a time in 1976 where he heard about this thing. It's called the Fool's Gold Loaf. And it's made by a sandwich shop in Denver. They're still making it today. But in 1976, he took about 10 of his mates on his private plane, flew from Memphis to Denver. It was about 2 hours. When he got to the airport, the owner of this cafe brought out 22 of these loaves. And then they ate it in the hangar with sparkling water and champagne. And then, without having left the airport, they got back on the plane and flew back to Graceland.
Okay.
So this is a sandwich that is worth traveling a couple of hundred miles for, certainly. In 1976, they cost the equivalent of $276 in today's money.
Oh my
I
god.
think it's $50.
Wait,
What?
each.
Really?
Each, yeah. I think this is Elvis Presley. He's probably the richest pop star in the world in the 70s, right? And the original recipe had one of these contains 8,000 calories.
Oh my god.
Oh my
So
God.
on the website, it said serves 1 if you're Elvis Presley, serves 8 to 10 if you're not. Essentially, it's a long loaf of bread, like a ciabatta, but in the original recipe, it says a French loaf. And then you basically baste it in butter, and then you toast it for 15 minutes until it's golden. You take it out, slice it in half, scoop out the insides, and then you fill it with one side a whole jar of blueberry jam, and then the other side a whole jar of peanut butter smooth. And then you put about half a kilo of bacon in the middle.
Have you done all that?
I did all this morning, yeah.
Oh my god.
Should we cut it open and see?
God.
Oh, it does sound really nice.
It is.
It smells good, to be fair. Like, I love peanut butter and jam.
Oh, it's oozing.
It kind of looks like a pie.
Yeah.
Where does this rate on the cube fucking factor?
Starch on the bottom.
I have never been scared of a food we've had on before, but this is insane.
Oh, actually doesn't look great when you look at it that way.
Oh my god. It looks like
It looks like it's bleeding. The bit about the butter basting was actually, I thought, quite clever because you kind of impart extra flavour into the bread. This looks like something that might be on like someone's Christmas table. Like, you know what I mean? Wow. I'm actually really excited. The
that
bacon
good?
looks dreadful. Not because I don't, that's not, no shade on you, Jack,
no,
but it
I'm
looks,
happy to
it looks
accept
like
shade.
sort of shredded beets or something
Very
because of the
alien.
blueberry jam.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
varieties include chopped banana as well.
all right. Are we gonna do it?
Yeah.
To Elvis.
So Elvis Presley.
Thanks, Elvis.
Oh my
R.I.P..
god. It's so sticky.
Oh, wow.
No wonder he fucking died.
Yeah.
This is madness. Oh gosh.
It is sweeter than I thought it was going to be. It tastes like it was made in like a McDonald's, you know?
No.
I don't hate it. I've got to say, I also don't love it. Like,
No.
and I don't really understand the justification for the price. Like when
No.
you said, how much did you say it was?
$50 in the 70s, which is the equivalent of $276 today.
Like, not being funny, none of those ingredients warrant that price tag at all.
You could fatten a small village with this.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a like firm
It's
yes.
better than I thought.
Yeah. I would actually just prefer it without the bacon. I just love peanut butter and jam. That's a great combo.
So this insane nutritional abomination, I mean, links nicely to this other carb on carb sandwiches.
Oh, right.
We have famously in the UK.
Crisp sandwich. And chip butties.
Exactly. In 2020, Burger King released like an official chip butty and it looks banging. It's just like Burger King chips in a burger bun. But then in Japan, they have a really delicious looking version called croque punk, which is potato. Have you tried it? Oh, is it good?
Really good.
Oh, it looks delicious. So it's like a potato croquette in milk bread buns with mayo, Worcester sauce, and sometimes like sliced tomato and cabbage.
Yeah.
So that looks delicious.
That's actually so similar as well to India, to vada pav,
Yes.
which is the like potato-y vegetable fritter in a soft buttery batter
It's like a potato
with chutneys
burger,
and stuff. So good.
It
Really
looks
good,
like, I
yeah.
really want to try that one.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And then there's one in Macedonia called simit pogača, which is literally just like empty borek. So just flaky pastry in a bun. And then they serve it with sour milk.
Oh, that sounds good.
Interesting.
I'd be up for that.
Yeah.
Speaking of dough,
Uh-huh.
I read about the notorious courtesan of the 18th century, Kitty Fisher, who was one of the first people to be sort of famous for being famous, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently Casanova went and visited her and wrote about how she was so decadent that she put a £20 note in between two slices of bread and then ate it.
Wow.
Incredible.
there's
What a vibe.
I know.
That would literally go viral on TikTok if someone did. That's a very Charlie XCX move. There is actually a restaurant in central London in Mayfair called Kitty Fisher's.
Is that?
Yeah. Famously serving £20 note sandwiches.
I was just going to say, you could not eat our £20 notes now. They're so plasticky.
They're so
No,
hard to
you couldn't.
tear
I
as
don't
well.
think you could chew it because they literally are indestructible.
You poop them out, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another very decadent sandwich. In 2004, there was a Florida woman who listed a grilled cheese sandwich on eBay. It was 10 years old. It sold for $28,000.
What?
I mean, good for her. Like, what an absolutely incredible return on investment.
And the reason it sold for so much, and yet it was 10 years old, was because she had taken a bite into it and then realized that it had the image of the Virgin Mary burnt into it. And you hear about these sandwiches all the time with like the face of Jesus or Michael Jackson. I think there was like a Shrek yogurt. Do you remember seeing that? It was like the yogurt had sort of formed the face of Shrek. Anyway, when she listed it on eBay 10 years after having eaten it, it hadn't gone moldy, by the way. She
Ooh.
left it in Tupperware.
That's pretty miraculous.
That's quite a good advert for Tupperware. But yeah, it went quite viral at the time. And yeah, it was eventually bought by a casino company, goldenpalace.com, who unfortunately, like, they're just a big corporation who was sort of buying up these things for the publicity. But yeah, so next time you're biting into a grilled cheese sandwich, make sure you check it out, see if there's any iconography on it.
What is it called when you see faces in food?
Pareidolia. This, Jack, what you've made is astronomically large, but it is not the largest sandwich that I've read about recently. So in 2020, there were two men who made an earth sandwich. So
Wet soil.
So two pieces of bread, but one
Okay.
of them was in Auckland in New Zealand, and the other one is in southern Spain. And at exactly the same time,
The
they
antipodes.
put their bread on the ground.
Oh, God.
I know, it was really cute.
Did they line them up proproperly though?
I
I'd worry that
flip and
they'd be.
hope so.
I mean, I assume they didn't use baguettes, but like if you got them perpendicular, that just wouldn't work.
The thing
I
is, though,
count
right,
it.
is that like arguably the filling is too big regardless. Like, it doesn't really matter where the
that's a
bread
strong
is.
argument. It's a strong argument.
Well, that is it for this week's edition of Lunchbox Envy. You can follow our socials for foodie facts and podcast updates. We are on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Lunchbox Envy Pod.
And you can also get in touch and send us your facts, recipes, questions, feedback by emailing us, lunchbox@qi.com.
Rosie, do you have any sandwichy recipes for us?
Well, the club sandwich that I made today is actually my recipe, an interpretation of a classic. Obviously, the recipe is the recipe. And you can find it on my Substack newsletter, The Dinner Party.
Nice.
Ooh, I'm
Do
definitely gonna
check
check
it. It's
that out.
delicious.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
We'll leave you with the useful Norwegian word, parleg, which translates to anything that could conceivably be put in a sandwich. So, literally anything. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lunchbox Envy was hosted by Jack Chambers, Manu Henriot, and me, Rosie McKean. It was mixed by Liang Lee, and it was produced by Alex Bell. This has been a quite interesting podcast.